I'm Mr. MegaManFan. This is the PC Engine Files, and today we are looking at Afterburner 2. I'm not sure any game has ever made me wish more that there was an 8-bit-do Sega Master System controller with a 2.4 GHz receiver that could pin out to the exact same 9-pin combination that the Master System uses. Because I used to play Afterburner a lot on Sega Master System. I've talked before about how my friend Sir Crunch loaned me his Sega Master System console for an entire summer. I believe it was the same year he got a Super Nintendo, so I guess in his mind, he didn't really need it, someone else could use it, and we were best buds, so why not hook a homie up? So I spent a lot of time playing games like Wonder Boy 3 and Afterburner, and I got pretty darn good at both of them. Beat 1, that was Wonder Boy 3. Not sure I ever beat Afterburner though. And Afterburner 2 seems to be just as punishing as Afterburner, but it is fondly nostalgic. It feels almost the same, although it has a higher graphical fidelity than obviously the Sega Master System was capable of, because this is on PC Engine. This begs the question though, if Afterburner was a big enough arcade hit for Sega to release it on the Master System, and then eventually the Sega Genesis, why wouldn't NEC release it on TurboGrafx 16? Did Sega block them from doing so? Well, they didn't block them from doing so in Japan because here it is, it exists. And certainly, this would not have been a localization challenge because all of these options are in English. Even the 3D mode in the test menu is all in English. So, no problems localizing it for TurboGrafx 16. I can only either think Sega stood in the way because they wanted it to remain exclusive to their own consoles in North America, or they just didn't believe there was enough of a TurboGrafx 16 install base to make it worth releasing here. It leaves money on the table as far as I'm concerned, because TurboGrafx 16 owners would have bought this. I'm willing to suspect those who knew of its existence and already had a HuCard converter went ahead and bought it anyway as an import. We may be more knowledgeable about such things today compared to the internet of 1990, but there's no way that some people didn't figure out that Afterburner 2 existed, and given the paucity of the library of the TurboGrafx 16 in North America, those people would supplement their console any way they could with any games they could. We also have to consider the higher install base of the PC Engine as compared to the TurboGrafx 16, which means that a lot more things were viable to port in Japan simply because there were a lot more people there to buy them. So Sega might not have even stood in the way of localizing it, they just might have been like, why bother? Well, I'll tell you why bother, because this is a very fine version of Afterburner 2. If you like the arcade game, you would almost certainly like this. If you like the Genesis game, you would almost certainly like this. Even if, like me, you only knew Afterburner on the Sega Master System as a kid, you would definitely like this. I think the Afterburner games, the home versions, the arcade versions, either way, are basically what people who bought Top Gun for the NES imagined it would be. Dogfights in the air, spinning upside down, shooting all around, firing missiles and guns at every enemy jet that comes your way. This is back in the day when everybody wanted to be Maverick and everybody thought Maverick was cool. Long before Tom Cruise became the source of memes worldwide for being a nutty Scientologist, he was a really good actor, or maybe that's going too far. He was a competent action movie actor, which arguably he still is today. Not my favorite person in the world thanks to his beliefs, but he was compelling enough in the Top Gun movie that a lot of kids were like, yeah, I want to be a jet pilot too. I want to be cool. I want to wear those mirror shades and I want to fly jets and go really fast and shoot lots of things. Yeah! And Afterburner 2 lets you do that. You're flying an F-14 Tomcat. You're getting to do air-to-air combat. It's great. If I could even nitpick anything, and this is obviously delving into the realm of the impossible, the one thing you can't do here is get the actual cockpit experience of the arcade game, because there were versions you could sit in where the seat would move up or down with the motion of your jet as you were pointing it one way or the other, and that's an experience that you almost have to have. I don't know how many of those cockpits still exist today, but if there's one at the Strong Video Game Museum or Galloping Ghost, by all means try it. It's worth your quarter. The full-style arcade cab is just too big to put in a home, though, and so would a home version of that. You couldn't have designed a controller for TurboGrafx, PC Engine, Sega Master System, Genesis, or anything else that would have recreated that. Imagine how many hundreds of dollars you would spend to get that cockpit controller you could sit in, and then where would you store it when you're done playing the game? You just couldn't do that. Only arcades could give you that experience. And that's one thing that's missing about video games today, is going to arcades and actually getting to experience full motion video games like Hang On and Afterburner. Those were great reasons to visit an arcade as a kid. The other minor nitpick that I have, and maybe I could put the game into easy mode from the arcade settings, I just don't think there are enough missiles. Obviously, they're making it realistic to some degree, because a fighter jet wouldn't have an unlimited amount of missiles either, but they're the best way to take out enemy aircraft from a long distance, and when you run out of missiles, then you start getting waxed and taxed by every enemy jet that comes your way and fires missiles at you. It begs the question whether the PC Engine or the TurboGrafx 16 ever had a Game Genie of sorts, where you could do the kind of cheats you could do on an NES or a Genesis or a Super Nintendo. Even Game Boy had a Game Genie. But once again, the install base of the TurboGrafx 16 may have made that a redundant point. Why would Game Genie produce something for a console that already didn't sell very many in the United States, and they would sell even less of a device made specifically for it? The engineering costs of it would probably have been really high to get something that would fit in a HuCard slot and then pass through another HuCard through that to the console. So at that point they're like, forget it. So you can cheat with an emulator, I'm sure, but on authentic hardware, that's going to be much harder to do. So if you find yourself getting your butt kicked, put it into easy mode. And if you find that normal isn't challenging enough, put it into hard mode. They give you some flex with this version of Afterburner 2, so whatever your desired level of difficulty is, it's accessible to that degree, which is incredibly forward-thinking on their part. Not many games in this era were that friendly to the user that we're going to give you all the different choices to play it the way you want it and get the difficulty that you desire, so that you can have the most fun out of the experience for the money you spend on the game. Speaking of that money, this is not a super cheap import for PC Engine, but it's not the super most expensive either. $23 loose, $45 complete. You're definitely not getting bargain bin prices, but you're also not at that extreme high end that things like Koryun go for, so maybe this is one worth getting if you're a PC Engine collector or you have a TurboGrafx 16 and the HuCard converter. And if you don't have either of those options, then try it in emulation, see if you like it, maybe put it on an EverDrive or a Super SD or HD System 3 at some point. Eventually buy it when you have the resources to do so, because I think this is a very, very fine addition to any PC Engine or TurboGrafx 16 library. I don't want to go so far as to say must own, because people like RetroBird have pointed out that that creates an unreasonable set of expectations when everything is described as must own. That makes certain collectors feel inferior and other collectors feel superior, which is not something I strive to do. I simply want to give you information on fun experiences that I think would be worth having, or warn you about those that are subpar and maybe you wouldn't want to spend huge amounts of your time and money on. And in this case, I feel that Afterburner 2 hits that nexus point right on the money, where it's worth the money, and you can enjoy it for the price you spent. You will get many hours of entertainment out of Afterburner 2. Whether or not that makes it a must-own, that's your decision. I'm not telling you to have it, or that you can't live without it, or that your collection is incomplete without Afterburner 2 in it, but I feel that if you do have it, you won't regret it. I'm Mr. MegaManFan. This has been the PC Engine Files, And as always, I appreciate you watching. New episodes air every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, but I also offer new content daily, so if you come back, there will always be something new. Retro Hunting Mondays, PC Engine Tuesdays, Homebrew Review Wednesday, Genesis Does Thursday, and I flex Friday, Saturday, Sunday for anything that I feel like is worthy of talking about or showing off, because I like to just get stuff and share it with all of you. Again, not because I think there's any reason to say you have to have this or you don't have to have this, but I like to have fun with video games, with collecting video games, with video game related things, toys, candy, board games, whatever suits my fancy. I'll get it and I'll share it with the rest of you, because that's what a gamer does. And I hope you enjoyed this look at Afterburner 2, and you will at least consider trying it in emulation. I wish these credits were in English, because all of these people deserve to be mentioned by name, but at least I'm showing them all to you here, so they're still getting the recognition they deserve. Big shout out to all of you for releasing this on PC Engine. It is a great version. Thanks again for watching. See you all real soon.